Hello, everyone. This is Heidi with Downtown NorCal Live, and I'm so happy to have joining with me by speakerphone today, Dave of Volleys Tennis Shop. Welcome, Dave.
Thanks for having me.
So, Dave is down at the shop and he is operating remotely. Is that right, Dave? You're not allowing people into the store, but you can still provide their tennis needs. Is that correct?
Yeah, so people are calling to make sure there's somebody here. I'm just here 11 to 3 weekdays only. We started doing that after the shelter-in-place order because I had to be here anyway because deliveries were coming. People had ordered things. I couldn't just tell UPS send it all back when customers have paid for items, and we're going to pay for items that were expected. So I'm just here 11 to 3 for UPS, FedEx deliveries. People have rackets that need to be restrung. They just come by, drop them in a box, and we keep our distance like everybody else is doing these days, and get strung for them, things like that. Or I've had some people who need some tennis balls, and I just drop them off on their porch, and they send a check. Or everybody's just finding different ways to do things these days.
Boy, we are all adapting. So before the crisis, before all the shutdowns, how was business?
Business was pretty good, and spring is our busiest time with the high school boys seasons at all the high schools. Davis, Dixon, Woodland, where I coach in West Sac, Sacramento schools. Obviously, everybody's coaching the boys teams in the spring, and the UCD teams. The UCD women's team in particular is a real big supporter of the shop. All the women on the team have their a lot of them get their rackets restrung here. So spring's really busy. So it was going pretty well until just like everybody else until mid-March, and then. Kind of gone off the cliff since then. We're just trying to stay afloat as long as we can, and hopefully, like everybody else, just get through it all together.
So this is a time of year where you're reliant on the income to kind of carry you through the quieter times, I imagine.
Exactly. Yeah. I tell people sometimes I feel like my Midwestern cousins who are farmers. If it rains at the wrong time, that's no good. If it's too hot, that's no good. When the smoke from the forest fires, that's no good. We're kind of weather dependent, and now this time this has got nothing to do with the weather. It's beautiful out again today, but nobody can go play. But the spring is when it's our biggest time, for sure.
I think your story, I've been hoping to talk to some of the sports shops owners down in Davis because it is such a hub for specialty shops.
Right.
And I haven't been able to reach anyone. I'm so glad it was you to reach back, but it's painful to think of people's passions being eliminated or just put on the shelf for right now. So how are folks adapting who are avid tennis players? How can they stay engaged with their sport?
I think people are doing, like the rest of us, doing walks and runs around the neighborhood and things like that. I've seen people in my neighborhood who are just, out hitting in the street, hitting tennis balls that way with their kids or with each other. Most of the parks in Sacramento now, the gates have been locked. The parks in Davis did that about a week ago, I think.
Yes.
Last Friday. Locked them all up. They're all closed up on campus. I'm not sure about public courts in Dixon and Woodland, but all the private clubs, they're all closed as well.
Yeah.
All over the NorCal region. So it's been tough. It's gonna get worse before it gets better. I keep on hearing that about everything else related to the virus, but for our business, it's going to get worse before it gets better for sure. Because at least before, if you wanted to hit with a friend, you could play tennis and keep your distance. You wouldn't. If you didn't want to touch the tennis ball, you could just pick it up with your racket. Nobody would serve, and you could still rally and play. And you're at opposite ends of the courts. That's a lot more than 6 feet away. And so it was good there for a while, and that people were still able to hit a few balls, but now even that's shut down.
Are there drills that people can do in their home? I remember my son, when he was on the high school tennis team, always walking around with a racket and just doing light bouncing.
There's just sort of like ball skills and racket skill drills you can do. Just bouncing the ball and popping the ball up in the air and turning the racket face up, face down, face up, face down. Just hand-eye coordination, things like that. I know there are people who are hitting against walls on their own. They can still do that. People are hitting against their garage doors, which is probably irritating their parents and the neighbors, but you can do that.
Oh, I can attest to
that. If you live in a quiet area, or a parking lot somewhere where there's nobody around, you can just rally back and forth over the imaginary net, things like that.
When our son got strong enough, we had to replace the garage door because he
go.
dented it so much.
I can see Chase putting some dents in your door, yeah.
He definitely did. So the kinds of products that might get people through the crisis and give them some hope, there is hope on the other side of this. What do you have in the store? And what can you special order?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Oh, what do you have in the store and what can you special order?
We can special order pretty much anything. In the store we have usually, the rackets and the shoes and the balls and apparel and grips and over grips and lead tape and ball hoppers and ball pickup tubes and I think I mentioned shoes already, socks, all those kinds of basic things that are always always here. Special order, if there's something that they want, we can get pretty much anything for people. We're a small shop, so we don't have everything right here, but we have, all the basics and then some. And like I said, people are, in special order. Gift certificates are huge. I know a lot of small businesses are talking about that. I had a guy call the other day, and he said, you know what, I don't need tennis shoes right now, but I'm going to need them in a few months, so can I buy a gift certificate now and get the shoes later? And that's perfect, because the money comes into us now when we need it, and then he can get his shoes when he needs those. Another person did the same thing with tennis balls. It's like, hey, can I buy a case of balls now? I can't play. But when this all ends, I'm going to need tennis balls, so how about I buy a case now? So things like that, people are sort of forward-looking, trying to help us out. They're going to need the items eventually anyway, and if we can get the money in now to keep us going through the tough time, that'd be great.
That's wonderful advice.
Yeah.
So the best way to reach you is how?
Email the shop at volleys.tennisshop@gmail, or call the shop between 11 and 3 weekdays, and that's 530-759-0109. And if I'm not here, or you don't think about the hours, you just call on the weekend, that's fine, because I'll get an email that somebody has called and can check the machine that way, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Oh, that's
and
good.
we are, like I said, I'm doing deliveries to people if they need things that way. Some people are more concerned than others about even like leaving their house for short trips and stuff, and I have no problem, dropping stuff up on your porch and paying by phone or however you want to do it.
Well, I'm a firm believer that it's very important to all of us that we maintain connection to our passions. And
Definitely.
Tennis is definitely a big one in this community. So is there anything as we close out that you would like to say to state, local leaders, anything positive, negative, indifferent?
No, nothing I can think of in particular. I know there seems to be this choice between, we got to fix the virus or we got to open the economy. We got to do one or the other, but it's, the virus comes first, and you keep hearing from Dr. Fauci and the other experts on the medical side that, we don't choose the timetable. The virus chooses the timetable, and the better we can do about social distancing and keeping to ourselves as much as possible, then they'll shorten the time.
Yeah.
We never thought we'd hear these terms, flatten the curve, but I think we've done a fairly good job of that, and we just got to keep on doing that, and then we can all get back out to playing tennis or doing whatever it is that we love so much sooner rather than later. And in the meantime, support small businesses, whether it's tennis shop or the soccer shop down the street or the shoe store or all the small shops in Davis, Woodland, West Sac, Sacramento. We really need it, and the restaurants too. I know my wife and I are doing a lot more takeout than we've ever done in the past, trying to keep those small restaurants afloat in our area.
Great advice. So I've been talking with Dave of Volleys Tennis Shop. I'll be back tomorrow with more interviews and again to the next week. Thank you so much for joining me, Dave.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.